Hi, everyone. Welcome into the New Orleans Saints Postgame Show presented by Mercedes-Benz. Caroline Gonzalez here alongside John DeShazier, where your New Orleans Saints have just clinched the NFC South with a win for the Minnesota Vikings 52-33. We will be awaiting Sean Payton and players there at the podium. We will get you over to them as soon as possible. JD, a few records set along the way. Alvin Kamara, you can't say enough about him.
Well, he did what he does, and what he does is he shows up in big moments, and now he ties in an NFL record with 6 touchdowns in a game. He sets a franchise record, obviously, with those same 6 touchdowns. He's got 21 touchdowns this season, another franchise record. He is just phenomenal, and on this occasion, national TV, the only game in town, Alvin Kamara showed exactly why he is a franchise centerpiece for the Saints.
And why did he have so much success today? We see him all the time. We know he's shifty. We know what he is capable of, but so does the Minnesota Vikings defense. Why was he so successful today?
Well, a couple of factors. Number one and foremost, you catch a bad defense. The Vikings were not very good.
Tied for 23 in the league in rushing defense.
Yeah. Second, the Saints' offensive line were men today. Moved the Vikings around almost at will. You saw pancake blocks 5, 10, 8 yards down the field. And so that obviously opens up gaps for a team. And then Alvin Kamara, look, he's got instincts and he's got toughness and he's got speed. He's got everything you would want in a running back. He's got a nose for the goal line that few people have, where when he gets to the goal line, he can either be power back if he needs to be, or he can get skinny and slide through a hole if he needs to. I mean, he just understands how to score, and you saw no better indication of that than in this game.
Not only Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray. You know, coming into this game, Traquan Smith goes on to IR. No Michael Thomas. You have Emmanuel Sanders. You have some other receivers and Marquez Callaway, but Latavius Murray once again steps up for this team.
Yeah, Latavius Murray gives them a great 1-2 punch. You've got Alvin, who can, kind of be the scat back at times, and you got Latavius, who can be the thumper, although he showed some great feet on a nice long run in this game. And then you get Drew Brees kind of back in rhythm, throws for nearly 300 yards. He did have the 2 interceptions. One of those was not on him. That one was off Emmanuel Sanders' hands, and so you don't necessarily want to attribute that one to him, although it does go in his stats. So that's just the way it is. But they had good offensive balance. I thought the offensive line was outstanding. James Hurst in at left guard for Andrews Pete, who's injured, in for Nick Easton, who's injured. And you got a good cohesive effort. I thought Cesar Ruiz at right guard, Erik McCoy at center, all those guys across that front line played outstanding in this game.
Let's talk for a moment, if we can, about Cesar Ruiz. I want to talk about this back and forth between the Saints and the Vikings, but Cesar Ruiz is someone we haven't heard his name a ton. Obviously drafted this year by the Saints, and when Andrews Pete went out, he stepped up.
Well, he's one of those guys who was hurt by the lack of an offseason program. He's a rookie. He doesn't get those mini camps. He doesn't get those OTAs. So he missed a ton of reps. And then near the end of training camp, he injures his ankle and he has to go out and get rehabbed. So that slowed his progress. And that allowed Nick Easton, who is a good veteran player, to step in and kind of take control of that. You try to mix Cesar Ruiz in as the season progresses. He's been able to get in more and more lately. Now, out of necessity, he's got to play high reps. He's got to start. He doesn't have any reason to come out of the game. And so you get him out there, and I think he gets into more of a rhythm with that offensive line, because on an offense, the most cohesive unit, or the unit that needs the most cohesion, is the offensive line. And so I think he's mixing in well with that line now.
Absolutely. As we await Sean Payton to hear his analysis of the game, I almost caught whiplash in the game because it was just back and forth between the Saints and Vikings, one punch after another. Why did Dalvin Cook have so much success against a Saints defense who seems or has been good against the rush?
Well, and they got better as this game went along, but Dalvin Cook is really good. I mean, he came into this game second in the league in rushing yards, first in rushing touchdowns with 15. So he is not an easy guy to stop. He didn't get all those yards by himself. That means Minnesota blocks pretty well up front. I thought the Saints adjusted well as the game progressed. The 2 turnovers and a few defensive penalties obviously do not help the Saints' cause, because now your defense is back on the field quickly after turnovers, or they stay on the field longer because of the penalties. So those are areas you obviously want to clean up. But Dalvin Cook's really good, and they've got some really good receivers in Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson and Irv Smith Jr. at tight end. So they have a pretty balanced offense. Minnesota's not very good on defense, but offense, they have a really good repertoire of weapons.
when you look at the Saints defense, a few absences today, Trey Hendrickson and Marcus Williams not on the field for the Saints. Let's start with Trey Hendrickson. How did the Saints defensive line step up in his absence? Second in the league for sacks.
Well, I thought they got off to a slow start a bit, and you had to see some blitzes early from Malcolm Jenkins getting in there. You had to see some blitzing from C.J. Gardner-Johnson to apply a little bit more pressure. And plus, if you've got a running back like Dalvin Cook, he is so influential in everything you have to do defensively. If you can get a play action to him, the defense naturally has to flow to him because of the running back that he is, and they use him well on offense. But defensive line-wise, Cam Jordan got a sack. We also saw some pressure applied. Malcolm Jenkins comes up with a sack. And eventually, if you get a team in a position where it has to throw as much as Minnesota was, you'll be able to get some traction up front.
What about Marcus Williams? You saw C.J. Gardner-Johnson back there. He was in the same position, but you saw P.J. Williams kind of take the place of Marcus Williams. How do you think P.J. did?
Well, I think he did well. If you look at the numbers, there might be some things that you have to do with him that you can't do with Marcus, or that you don't need to do if you have Marcus Williams back there, because Marcus Williams is a natural free safety. P.J. Williams is a guy who, before last year, hadn't played free safety, I think he said, since high school. So now he's getting a little bit more acclimated to it. He's been working at it this entire offseason. Again, not a lot of it on the field, but he's been able to get in some game action in those situations. So I thought they held up well. I think if you look at the numbers, you'll be pleased mostly with the numbers. Again, the penalties in the secondary, which is something you'd like to see the Saints clean up a little bit more. Something that really plagued them earlier in the season. Hopefully, that's not something that's going to carry on. But I thought for the most part, especially against an offense that formidable, I thought they held up pretty well.
Let's take a look back at this Saints offense, JD. Brees today becoming the first player to reach 80,000 passing yards, a huge accomplishment. Add it to the books for Drew Brees. But last week against the Chiefs, you saw kind of a lack of fluidity on the Saints offense, and this week it seemed like they got that back.
Yeah, I think it just takes a little bit of time for Drew Brees to get back into a groove. We have to remember, he missed a month, and you don't just jump back in and hit the ground running for the most part, especially with the injuries that he was out with. You're talking about rib injuries, and even he admitted he was not 100%. And that means there probably still was some pain, discomfort there. Probably still can't do the things he's accustomed to doing. And even in this game, you saw a couple of throws where they just weren't quite Drew Brees-like.
Yeah.
I thought we heard on TV where the announcers were saying, look, it looks like he's protecting his ribs on that one. And you look at the replay, it very much looked like he was favoring his ribs. And, hey, if you've been hitting the ribs, cracked ribs, I've never had them. I've heard they can be extremely painful. I don't want to know what it's like. But you get in that situation, and now you're trying to throw a football. And, of course, the defense is still hitting you, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But I thought the offense was a lot more fluid in this game.
Coach Payton in just a few
I believe
minutes.
we are going to have Sean Payton at the podium. Let's go ahead and go to him. Possibly. We'll keep it here until then. Okay, we'll keep it here until then. JD, you said in our pregame show Jared Cook was going to need to have a big performance for the Saints. He was going to need to step up. Today he had 3 receptions for 82 yards. He just seemed to be there when the Saints needed him.
Yeah, including the big one. He had a big catch, in fact, on one of the throws where Brees avoids the blitz, gets it out early. Jared Cook slips through a couple of would-be tacklers and gets down the left sideline. He's going to be more and more critical as the season goes along because, again, if you don't have Michael Thomas right now, we don't know how effective Michael Thomas will be when he returns. Emmanuel Sanders seems to be in a pretty good flow with the offense. But out of those two, after those two, you would think that Jared Cook would probably be the most reliable receiver that Drew Brees would have outside of Alvin Kamara. And so he's the guy who needs to produce for this offense to be what it can be.
Well, yesterday we got the notification that Jameis Winston was going to be activated off the COVID-19 reserve list. That opened up things a little bit today for Taysom Hill. You saw him score a touchdown. A few people wanted Alvin Kamara to get that touchdown, but that is besides the point. How did you see Taysom Hill kind of get back into his normal role?
Well, you're allowed to put him back on special teams now when you've got Jameis Winston, and now you don't necessarily need him to be the number 2 quarterback to finish out a game.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you get into a stretch of games, maybe he goes back to being the backup, maybe he's the starter. But mid-game, you would just finish out with Jameis Winston as they did against San Francisco. So that allows Taysom Hill to do all the other things he does. Tight end, receiver. He can run the RPOs at quarterback. He can play special teams also. So we saw all of those roles, and he's an extremely valuable piece for this team. He's one of the better offensive players on this team, regardless of position. So now you're allowed to be exactly what you want to be in terms of versatility if you're the Saints.
I believe we will have Sean Payton coming up in just a few minutes. Let's go back to the defense. Kwon Alexander left after this game, a huge addition to the Saints linebacker core. He left the game. It was reported that he might have ruptured his Achilles. We're not going to confirm anything, but what kind of an addition has he been to the Saints defense, and what kind of loss would he be if that report is true?
Well, he's a linebacker who can cover, and those guys are rare in the NFL. And the biggest knock on Kwon Alexander actually was that he does get injured, and that's one of the things that you fear. But he is a guy who can cover. If you can put him on a tight end, you can put him on a running back, and you feel comfortable having him in those situations. You don't have to use a safety. You don't have to use a corner. You can put him out there, and he can make those plays. So unfortunately, when he leaves the game, you bring in Alex Anzalone, or you might bring in Zach Bond. And look, everyone says next man up mentality, but I say this a million times. There's a reason the guy's the next man. You know, he's not quite as good as the first man.
Right.
And so when you put Kwon Alexander out there, you have a certain comfort level. That's why the Saints signed him. And if you recall, they signed him, and he started immediately, started that next game that he was eligible to play. That tells you the kind of talent that he has, and that tells you the kind of talent that the Saints will be missing when he's not playing.
Well, you talk about talent, but you also talk about the depth of this Saints roster. It seems like week after week we're talking about a new injury, a new player going on IR, and someone else who has to step up in that next man up mentality. Are you confident in the depth that this team has moving forward? I mean, you have one regular season game left until the playoffs.
Well, when you think about it, the Saints are 11-4. They won the NFC South for the fourth consecutive year. They've guaranteed themselves at least one home playoff game. They've lost Brees for 4 games. They've lost Michael Thomas for now 7 or 8 games. Emmanuel Sanders missed a couple. They've found ways to win. Marshon Lattimore has missed games. Jack Rabbit Jenkins has missed games. Now, Demario Davis hadn't missed. Alvin Kamara hadn't missed. And obviously those are 2 linchpins to what you want to be and what you want to do. But still, they've had a variety of guys miss games. Starters, Andrews Pete missed this one. They've had a variety of guys missing games, and they've been able to fight through and figure out how to win that day. And that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter how you get the win, as long as you get the win.
Let's play a fun game, JD. Last week, Sean Payton talked a lot about the third down conversions. This week, the Saints were 5 of 9. What do you think Sean Payton is going to address today in his press conference, things he wants to work on moving forward?
Well, he'll probably talk about the turnovers. He won't be happy with that. He won't be happy with the penalties. Those are things that you need to be able to clean up immediately. He will not be happy with the early run defense. Again, you're able to jump out to a lead and kind of make Minnesota abandon the run. Probably won't be overjoyed with the early defensive pressure.
Actually, here is Alvin Kamara.
All right, you guys, go ahead and put your questions in for Alvin Kamara. First one's from Rod Walker.
Hey, Alvin, first of all, congratulations. What are your plans for the shoes, and just how does it feel to score that many touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know, the O-line did a great job. You know, I ain't really had to do too much, man. Those guys did a great job. You know, the receivers did a great job setting the edge and coming across and doing the dirty work, man. It just feels good to have one of those days, you know, just for the team, you know, just for offensive morale. So, you know, like I said, I always say this, like, I'm not focused on personal, like, goals and yards and stuff like that. As long as the team is, you know, has success, then personal success will come.
What about your shoes? What's the plan for those?
Oh, man, I got all of them from my rookie year till right now, and I'm going to keep them, too. They're going to go up in my – they go in the cabinet. They go in the little they go in the little cabinet. I got them all.
Next one's from Larry Holder.
Alvin, I know a lot of the storyline after this game is going to be your touchdowns, but you just to kind of piggyback off your answer, how good was it to get a win like this, 52-33, after you guys have kind of been sluggish the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, that's the main focus every week, man. We want to win, so obviously just dropping 2 like we had the past 2 weeks sucks, but, you know, we just had to stay focused. We stayed focused, kept preparing, you know, just kind of stayed true to what we believe in and focus on what's going on inside our building. And, we were able to come out and put on a show. A lot of guys' families is here. It's Christmas, obviously. So, man, it just felt good. We're back in the winning column.
Next one's from Mike Triplett.
Alvin, real quick, do you think they'll rescind your fine, like in exchange for sending them to Canton for wearing those shoes? Any deals you can make?
Oh, they're probably gonna fine me. If they fine me, whatever it is, I'll just match it and donate it to charity. The Grinch always try to steal Christmas. So give it them.
And when did you know that there was a potential NFL record in sight, and when did you know it in relation to the touchdown that they gave to Taysom late in the fourth quarter?
Oh man, I didn't. So I when I had 3, I went to Coach Thomas, my running back coach. I went to JT and I was like, man, what's the record? And he was like, hold on, let me figure it out. And they came back to me and told me 6, and I was like, shit, let's go. Like maybe I can get it. And then Sean gave Taysom the 1 touchdown when I had 5. I wasn't really worried about it. I was just like, shoot, it's all good. Whatever. We right there. I'm second at least. And then Troutman went and caught that ball, and Drew gave him a good ball, and he ain't score. I was looking for him to score, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, this might be my chance. And Sean was like, go. So, I just told the O-line, I was like, get me in there. Let's get it. And we were able to get it. We had the celebration planned out, man. And, it's a great moment. I wouldn't want to do it with another group.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
It looked like you guys were using a lot of shifts of motion early in the game. How did that help open up some running lanes for you?
Man, it helps. We got receivers that want to go down there and block and get dirty. With Quez out there, he's doing a great job. Being his first year. He's coming on and he's learning and he's excelling. In the role he's playing. Cat, Austin Carr, JJ, all those guys, man, they doing what they got to do. Cook, Josh Hill, they doing what they got to do. And then not to mention, like I said, the O-line. They're doing a great job. These shifts of motions kind of throw off the defense, and when you have guys that are willing to put in that extra effort to make the scheme work and bring it to life, it makes it all that much more worth it.
We're all set. Thanks, AK.
Yep.
Yeah, your shirt's a little blurry. Does that say 1 not done?
Yeah, excuse me.
Okay.
I'm just keeping it warm. Keep it warm.
Can you guys hear me all right?
We got you, Coach. Go ahead, you guys.
Sean, that's 4 straight division championships. That obviously doesn't happen a lot. How special does that feel right now?
Look, I think that's the first goal when you start a season. It certainly is not the only one. We got a good core group of players. I thought, with the injuries today, a number of guys stepped up, and obviously the first goal is to win your division, and then get your seeding as best you can for the postseason. So I was proud of how they played, though. We played hard. We had a lot of different players filling in, 7 different starters out, and man, we just kept grinding.
Hey, Sean, on Taysom's touchdown late in the game, were you thinking at all about putting Kamara in and trying to get him that record?
No, listen. Obviously, his performance today was unbelievable. I was thinking about our best play there. It was 4th down, and we felt like that was a play that would be tough for them because obviously it's a quarterback design run with an extra guy. But late in the game, I was mindful of it. A lot of these players, I'd say most of these players have no idea how good Gale Sayers was. And but growing up in Chicago, certainly you were familiar with his ability, and I was happy. Listen, it was a big deal. He played fantastic today, and look, Minnesota was banged up too. They had a lot of new faces playing linebacker, and it's been a little unusual year that way.
Alvin said after the Troutman, after his big catch, you went to him and said, "Okay, now go in." So I guess it kind of all worked out, just like you drew it up, right?
Yeah, these games unfold differently sometimes. It's hard, going in on a short week to try to envision how the game's going to unfold. But I thought we blocked them well up front. We got enough stops defensively, and then the rest of it took care of itself. But it was a good win.
Sean, how important was this win given, you stopped a losing streak, and then it wasn't just a skin of your teeth. You guys won by a pretty significant margin.
Look, they're all important. Here's the thing. There's only 16 regular season games. So they're all of the same value. And in the postseason, it's not a best of 7. It's just one game at a time, and you got to win. And so, yeah, to your point, though, look, we had gotten on a run there with 9 wins in a row and had 2 difficult games where we didn't play maybe as well. We played a real good team last week. It was good to get back and kind of get it turned around in the win column. You don't know. We knew going in, obviously, that we just needed to win to get the division. And but there's more at stake. And so I think it's important we're playing well at this time of the year.
Sean, as a play caller, is there a temptation to get away from it? Like, at what point do you have to say, look, it's working, just running right at them, let's just keep doing it? Or is that maybe the game plan from the start?
Well, look, you have some thoughts. Just statistically, analytically, we wanted to, on first down, try to establish the line of scrimmage. You can never predict the success you may or may not have in a given game. And so, yeah, as the game's unfolding, you pay attention to all of it. And, we had some play action passes mixed in, a few dropbacks. We really didn't have a lot of third down. So it was one of those CFL games where, we were converting, basically getting first downs on first and second down. And generally speaking, when you're doing that, you can have a really good game. When you can keep your punter on the sideline for the whole game, I told Thomas that, sorry, but you're doing some things well. And part of it is just how the game was unfolding. And again, and I say this, man, there's been a lot of injuries on Minnesota's front. Zim, I know real well. They're one of the better defenses, better coached defenses, and they got a lot of guys out, and that can be difficult.
Sean, with those injuries, was this a game where you guys really looked to use shifts and motions and stuff to get them moving a little bit? It seemed kind of effective on some of those runs, especially early.
No, it wasn't because of injuries. It was a little bit more because of some other things. You can force the nose tackle to be the 3, and you can force the 3 to be the nose, and there's but it had nothing to do really with their depth.
Sean, how this game was kind of set up with the injuries that Minnesota had and your ability to be able to run the ball. Are you able as a play caller to kind of protect Brees, who's coming back from an injury, a little bit more?
I said this in the production meeting, I felt we were fairly healthy defensively. They were fairly healthy offensively. A couple players maybe each. But flip side, their defense had gone through a lot of injuries in our offense. We were without, 2 starting guards. We were without three receivers. And so when it came to that part of the game, you were going to have to look at your program and go to the third column. But to your question, I mean, we wanted to try to attack maybe where the young players were playing and both in the run and the passing game. But we thought that running the ball was going to be important and obviously a way to do that. I thought we blocked him well. James Hurst, made his first start at guard for us all year. We were without Andrus, of course, without Nick Easton, without a number of guys. And but it helps you control a game when you're able to do that.
Sean, the camera's a little blurry. Is that a Jordan brand Christmas sweater?
This is compliments of Michael Jordan. So this is the one time of the year I thought it was appropriate to wear. All right, Merry Christmas. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Real good.
All right. Back like another.
All right, let's get questions in for Jared Cook. First one's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, Jared. I don't know how many division champions you've been a part of throughout your career, but I don't think it's really that many. So it's like, how does this feel like in this moment to know that you guys have locked that up?
This is my third. It feels good, man. This is the first step and the first goal that we have towards postseason play, and I think it's important that we took the step that we needed to be able to claim the division. Now we got one more game, and then we're focused on postseason.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, camera's a little blurry. That's your shirt say one not done?
Yeah, one not done. 1-1.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And how just amazing was it to watch Alvin Kamara today? 6 touchdowns, 150 plus yards.
Huge. Probably one of the best backs I've ever played with and had the chance to watch in this league. And for the fact that he broke Gail Sayers' record, which is also another all-time favorite back of mine, is pretty awesome. And to be watching that in person and to continue to watch Alvin grow as not only a football player, as a man, I think is awesome. So kudos to him, hats off to him. He had a huge day today. I enjoy seeing him get off.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, hey, Jared, it seemed like you guys got a lot of those rushing yards just between the tackles running right at him. How far into it did you feel that? And how good were the 5 guys up front, especially in the running game?
Felt it immediately. I think that first drive, Alvin and Tay came out and ripped off a couple of 5-yard runs, which is huge, man. And then just keeping their feet churning on a lot of those runs. Once they got through the linebackers in the second tier of the defense into the safety area, it's hard to stop guys when they run like that, especially our backs. When they're able to get to the safeties and into the secondary without being touched or on free runs, it makes our explosive huge. So definitely needed those 2 guys today.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Yeah, I'm just curious. When did y'all plan the Snow Angels celebration? It seemed like that was not off the cuff.
Man, look, I didn't know anything about it. I just saw all the guys jump on the ground and start doing it, so I wanted to be part of the celebration, so I got in there on it too. Definitely a record day, definitely deserved.
Next one's from Brooke Kirchhoffer.
Hey, Jared, given all of the injuries, specifically with Michael Thomas, Smith, and Harris not in the game today, how have you seen guys, especially the rookies like Callaway and Troutman, be able to step up in those roles?
That's part of the game, whenever guys go down, guys have to step up. But, Trout, I'm proud of Trout, man. With somebody who we've depended on all year. to go make plays for us when we needed and to step up in the run game, and he just came out and balled. I'm also proud of Callaway too, man. He Rooks don't get a lot of looks in this league, but on this team we depend on him, and that's something that Coach Payton and Drew kind of always prided themselves on. It just don't matter who's stepping into the role. We really don't care. We just need you to come out here and ball and play on Sundays. So that's part of this team and a really important part of this team. More so important here than a lot of other places that I have been. So the fact that those guys can step up in any situation that we ask them to is important, and it keeps the continuity of this team just going.
Last one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, hard-hitting question here. Sean Payton, he really cut loose today in the locker room after the game. Just how would you grade his dance moves, and how cool is that to have a coach like that who gets down with y'all after wins like that?
Oh, it's awesome, man. I think it's always important when you can kind of relate to your players in another way outside of what they see you as. I think that's important as a coach, man, that you can kind of get down to your players on a eye level. So he busted out the Sean Payton dance, of course. We saw that we've always seen for years, but he also busted out a gritty. I think he even had a gritty face mask on in there. And he was doing the gritty better than Jameis. So he's probably been practicing that at home.
All right, we're all set. Thanks, Jared.
Brees. Merry Christmas.
JD, we know Sean Payton has been practicing the gritty. Have you been practicing the gritty in the privacy of your own home?
Unless you want to see somebody sprain something or break something or tear something, no, I have not been.
Well, that makes one of us. You heard from Alvin Kamara. Once he got the third touchdown, he went over to running backs coach Joel Thomas, said, "What's the record?" And when he went out there and got it, I love that story.
Yeah, I mean, he also said once he got 5, he was okay with Taysom Hill scoring that one, and he was pretty cool with it. So that tells you some of the personality that makes teammates love him. But let me tell you something. I'm sure once he got to that 3 and once he asked what the record was, he wanted that record, and it showed. Here's Erik McCoy.
First one's from Amy Just.
When a running back goes off like that, 150 plus yards, 6 touchdowns for Alvin Kamara, how much pride do you take as an offensive lineman for, helping with that?
We take a ton of pride. I mean, some of it's our doing, some of it's his doing. I mean, he's the best running back in the league. There's not much else to say about it. It's a GOAT.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, man, you guys have been just dealing with shuffling guys in and out of that starting lineup all season. To do that on a day like today, to keep Drew upright the whole time, I mean, what does that say about your group? I feel like this has gone beyond next man up even.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say it shows the resilience of our group, number one, but also just the way that our coaches coach day in and day out, practice in and practice out, the attention to detail with everybody. Everybody's getting coached the same. Shout out to Coach Rushaw and Coach Nuge.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, hey, Erik, it seemed like a lot of the success that you guys had today was coming right behind you. How far into this game did you guys sort of get a feel that just running right at him was going to work all day?
The first drive, I would say. I think we had 4 carries for 66 yards on the first drive, which that's an impressive stat when you look at the yards per carry on that. So really just from the jump, And I feel like that was really seen throughout the game.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Sean was saying that you guys were able to effectively use shifts of motion to kind of get their three playing nose and the nose playing three. What advantage does that give you guys when you can get them out of position like that?
Yeah, I would just say that it makes guys uncomfortable. They're playing a position that they're not really used to, that they don't have a ton of reps at, and it makes them move in a different way than they're used to. So.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Erik, I know you're often part of these touchdown celebrations of AK, but whose idea was it to hit the Snow Angels in the end zone on number 6?
I would say that was a collective agreement. Somebody said it. I don't know who started it, but then we just all went up to each other and like, Snow Angels if we score, Snow Angels if we score. Just to stick with the Christmas theme. It was just a good way to celebrate.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, speaking of Christmas and celebrating, your mask shows it, NFC South champs. Just how, you've been here for 2 years, 2 straight years for you, and then 2 before that. Just how much does that mean to secure that here on Christmas, get that extra present, so to speak?
Yeah, it was goal number 1 coming into the season, clinched NFC South. We still have a long way to go, but it was an amazing feeling, especially on a day like today.
We're all set. Thank you, Erik.
Thank y'all.
That was Erik McCoy. We are awaiting players at the podium inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome after your Saints defeat the Minnesota Vikings for a four-peat of the NFC South. JD, Erik McCoy just alluded to the front line. Credit to Dan Ruchar. They really are able to put whoever in whatever position and have success. He said that they noticed on the first drive of the game that they were going to be able to just run at them. What does it say about Dan Ruchar and this offensive line that they're able to do that?
Well, they make sure that all those guys are versatile. I think the only guys who really play one position are the tackles. Ryan Ramchek's at right tackle. You have Teron Armstead at left tackle. But everybody else in the middle, in the interior, are interchangeable. Erik McCoy plays center. He can also play guard. Cesar Ruiz plays guard. He can play center. You've seen Andrews Pete kick out from left guard to left tackle. We've seen James Hurst, who played left guard today, play left tackle and right tackle. All those guys need versatility, especially the backup linemen, because you don't necessarily know where you're going to come in and play. And you can only carry so many players on a game day. So you don't have enough slots to carry 10, 12 offensive linemen. So Will Clapp comes in and plays several positions. You see that all the time with this team. Coach Dan Ruchar does a fantastic job, along with his assistant Brendan Nugent, of making sure that these guys understand their responsibilities. Here, Marshon Lattimore is now at the podium.
Marshon, how important was it to win this game and the 2-game losing streak, and then not just win kind of by the skin of your teeth? 19-point margin is a pretty significant win.
We had to come in. They knocked us out of the playoffs a couple times, so this is kind of personal. We went in and we got the job done, and that's what it is.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Other side of the ball, obviously, but what was it like watching Alvin Kamara today? 6 touchdowns, 150 plus yards.
He's amazing, man. He's the best back in the league to me. So everybody should be, the best back in the league, and he showed it today. Shout out to him. Well, that's big. That's big right there. I ain't gonna lie.
Another memorable performance in the locker room for Coach Sean Payton with his dance moves. How fun is that to have your head coach be involved in the celebration with y'all?
No, man, he turned up, man. He's the best coach in the league. Man, shout out to Coach Payton, man. He gives us that energy that we need, as players. So he right there with us every step of the way. I want to shout out to him for sure. He turned us up.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Marshon, it seemed like they had to kind of abandon the Dalvin Cook running game kind of early today. How do you how did y'all hold up against Cousins' passing game in the second half, do you think?
We went out there and played, bro. You asked me about that question about Tyreek Hill last week too, Nate.
Hey, look, I was asking that question for somebody else, so this one's me. If you don't like this one, you can blame this one on me.
Yeah, because we do what we do, man. We do what we do. We the best back end of the league, and we do what we do. So that's it.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Marshon, I know you've never really had to go live against Alvin, but when you watch him and you see these other guys that you've tried to tackle in the open field, is there anybody that looks or is hard to tackle as he looks to tackle?
The best back in the league, period, point blank. He break tackles. I don't know how he do it sometimes, but he do it. He's just a great player, man. Just got to give it to him.
We're all set. Appreciate it, Marshon.
We will hear from more players at the podium shortly. JD, we haven't had a chance to talk about it, but Drew Brees, 2 interceptions today. We'll hear from him in just a little bit. But what were your thoughts on those interceptions?
Well, the first one was, I thought, him. It looked like just a bad combination for he and Jared Cook, and the miscommunication there maybe. But the second one was off Emmanuel Sanders' hand. Emmanuel Sanders probably should have come down with that football. And so, one to me attributable to Drew Brees, the other not so much so. For the most part, he looked pretty sharp. Again, you saw a pass fall short. Marquez Callaway was able to go and break it up. Would have been another interception. But for the most part, I thought he was pretty sharp. And again, he's still working and trying to callus up those ribs, I'm sure. Maybe break up some scar tissue. I don't know the definite terminology for it, but he doesn't look quite like himself yet, and yet he seems to be on the road to that.
What do you think about his and Sean Payton's ability to spread the ball around? You saw 7 different receivers in the first half alone. Their ability to spread the ball around is just incredible.
Well, that's been Drew Brees' resume. That's been who he is since he's been here. If you're open, he will throw you the football, and it doesn't matter who it is. There is no such thing as status. Now, I know Michael Thomas last year got the lion's share of the passes, obviously, but Drew Brees has always been a guy who, if he's got a mismatch, whether it's a running back, a tight end, a receiver, he doesn't care. He just throws it to the open guy, and you saw that in this game.
Well, Marshon Lattimore talked about it ever since he's been here, ever since that 2017 draft class, someone else included, came to the New Orleans Saints. They have won 4 straight NFC South. How much does it say not only about that draft class, but the team that they've been able to sustain that culture over the last several years?
Well, they hit the lotto in that draft.
Yeah.
Marshon Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Alvin Kamara. They get Alex Anzalone. They get Trey Hendrickson. That was the mother lode of drafts for the New Orleans Saints. Still hasn't had the accomplishment of the 2006 draft because those guys won the Super Bowl. But in terms of regular season accomplishment and all the accolades that go along with it, these guys have been the anchor to this franchise because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was 3 consecutive 7-9 seasons they were coming off of. They get that draft class and immediately it flips because they get several starters out of that class. They're not just regular guys. Marshon Lattimore was NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. Alvin Kamara was the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Marcus Williams was a day one starter. Alex Anzalone was a day one starter. So they filled several positions with that draft, and all of those guys have played to that level pretty much for the entirety of their career.
Well, Sean Payton spoke about, this being the first goal. Securing the NFC South was the first goal. You've been here for several years. You know that in the NFC South, now that they have secured it, what do they turn their attention to next? They have one more game against the Carolina Panthers. What's next?
Well, the number 1 seed is still in play. There's still an opportunity to have it, so you still want to win that game if you're the Saints. The number 2 seed obviously is in play if the number 1 seed is in play. So, worst case scenario, you lock up the number 2 seed, and the only time you'd have to go on the road for a road playoff game is if you're going to play the number 1 seed. Who knows what happens between then and the possible NFC Championship game? Maybe that number 1 seed loses. Maybe that NFC Championship game is in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. You never know, but you want to win as much as you can because you want to secure as much of a home field advantage as you can. And I understand everyone saying, okay, well, you don't have as many fans, so it's not quite the same. It's not quite the advantage it normally would be. You don't tell me it ain't an advantage sleeping in your own bed. Being able to have the comforts,
this year.
Yeah, being able to have the comforts of your own home instead of traveling. So that's why teams try to secure those top seeds. They try to make it as easy as possible. The higher seed plays the lower seed in the playoffs, so that helps.
What was it, 3 games ago against the Philadelphia Eagles, we were standing here and talking about the offense didn't play well, defense didn't play well, special teams didn't play well. This week you saw finally that chemistry on all levels. Thomas Morstead had 0 punts today. Saints recovered an onside kick. What do you feel? Do you feel comfortable with the special teams now that we haven't talked about them going forward?
Yeah, I mean, the special teams did exactly what they were supposed to do in this game, which was, not mess anything up. I mean, because they didn't really have to do a whole lot. We saw Ty Montgomery with a couple of nice kickoff returns. We saw maybe a fair catch on a punt that Marquez Callaway should not have made his own 4-yard line. He's a rookie. He'll learn from that, hopefully. But for the most part, they were a clean unit on special teams. I think the Saints have to like what they saw today. Now, again, the NFL is a week-to-week proposition. 1 week, you can be a team that does not beat Philadelphia, which was 3-8-1 at the time. Mm-hmm. The next week, you can be a team that plays 92 snaps on defense, plays Kansas City as well as you can defensively, but your offense can't score and can't get enough traction going. And the next week, you can come out and have good input from each unit and put up 52 points against. Now, granted, they're a beat-up Minnesota team, but still 52 points in an NFL game is still 52 points. So it's a week-to-week proposition. You just want to make sure that your team is good enough that week because, you can't depend on carrying momentum straight through. Here's Drew Brees now at the podium.
Yeah, hey, Drew. I counted 14 runs of at least 7 yards in this game. How dominant were your guys up front, and is this as good as they've been all year?
Yeah, I think so. Today was one of those days, where I thought our scheme was really good. I thought that the guys up front did an excellent job getting a hat on the hat, pushing their guys back, and then our runners did a great job with just, hey, man, one cut, go, get what you can. Obviously, we had a couple big runs as well, but, I mean, it was really just, those chunks, right? 7-8 yards a pop. And the passing game was really just a compliment to the run tonight. But listen, everybody played great. We knew what was at stake. Listen, it was a Christmas Day game in front of in our stadium, in front of our fans, really in front of the world, right? And an opportunity to win the division tonight, and we did all those things.
Next one's from Sean Fazend.
Yeah, Drew, leads me into my question. Just the importance of winning that 4th straight division title. Obviously, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, listen, it is significant, especially in this division where, normally we're sending,
multiple teams to the playoffs. So you're fighting tooth and nail each and every year, especially against your divisional opponents. In order to put yourself in a position where you can win one of these titles. And for the longest time since we've been here since 2006, I feel like every year has been a flip-flop. It's another team that's winning the division. I mean, rarely has there been a scenario where a team has won in consecutive years. Carolina did it, 14, 15, 16, and then we were, 13, 14, 15, and then now we are 17, 18, 19, 20. So listen, that is hard to do with the quarterbacks in this division, and with the teams, and the fact that we're putting multiple playoff teams out there every year. So there's a lot to be said about that.
Next one's from Rod Walker.
Hey, Drew, your teammates have watched you set a lot of records, but what was it like for you to watch Alvin do what he did tonight?
You know what? It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, 6 touchdowns for a running back is just astounding, right? And so, obviously he got a few in the first half and then kept getting them. And I can remember him scoring and me being like, I think that's 5, and then Taysom gets a touchdown there in the fourth quarter. And then Sean kind of mentioned to me, he said, hey, if Alvin gets one more touchdown, he ties this record with Gale Sayers. And, obviously you're looking at the score. We're up 3 possessions. He's like, let's see how close it is. So they go down and score. We get the ball back. But at that point, it's, hey, get a first down, and we're on a knee. Well, we had the opportunity. We felt like, hey, let's throw it before the 2-minute warning. And, we get the big play to Troutman that gets us down in scoring range. So, man, some things had to happen there in order to have the opportunity. But then at that point, it's like, man, we're getting this record.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, Drew, a couple times guys talking tonight about the division title, they mentioned the first goal, right? Why is it important to break that up into those manageable goals? And once you achieve one, how does the mindset kind of shift, I guess, if at all?
I mean, listen, you win the division. What does that do? It secures you. Obviously, there's some pride with that. Hey, you're your division winner, right? You've earned that. But it guarantees you a home playoff game. And now it's about, man, putting yourself in the best seed possible. Especially in this scenario now where, only the 1 seed gets the first round bye, right? Everybody else is playing ball. But who knows how this thing shakes out, and the best seeds get to host the games. And so, obviously we want to be playing our best football too, going into the playoffs. So hopefully we'll continue to get some guys healthy here. We got a couple extra days, being that we played early this week. So, man, let's go have another great one next week, and then kind of be on the upward swing going into the playoffs.
Next one's from Andrew Doak.
Drew, with what you're dealing with your rib injury, how much is 45 rushes and Alvin Kamara kind of carrying the day welcomed by you right now?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know how I was going to feel coming off a game with only 5 days rest, with everything. But I actually felt pretty good. I felt, better this week than I did last week. And so, listen, that's the goal, is just to continue to get better and better each week, continue to get all the strength back, get all the feel and rhythm back.
We're all set. Thank you, Drew.
All right, guys, thanks.
We'll wrap up in just a moment.
JD, earlier this week, one of the players we are about to hear from made the Pro Bowl. 5 players from the Saints making the Pro Bowl. Cam Jordan, Marshon Lattimore, Andrus Peat. Remind me of the other 2, Alvin Kamara, and who is the 5th one? I'm blanking.
I'm completely blanking. If you're blanking,
Who was
I'm
it?
blanking.
Marshon Lattimore,
Armstead,
Teron Armstead, Alvin Kamara. Anyway, 5 players for the Saints made.
We got Cam at the podium.
Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't big enough to get in there. Does he look like he's dunking? Just okay. No, I'll put that aside right now. For us to win a 4th division, that's huge. We've been in this position before in terms of winning the division. I said it preseason. You can't knock the divisional champs off the top of the mountain until you do. And as we're sitting here, I don't know if you see this mask as it's protecting me. I believe that says 2020 NFC South Division. That's one off our checklist. We've got to head into this next game and try and sweep the NFC South, which I've just got told has never been done before. So this next game is our biggest game because it's the next game.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, one of the big reasons today, y'all got there. Alvin Kamara, 6 rushing touchdowns, NFL record. What was it like watching him ball out today?
Man, ball out. I mean, he was going crazy. His earlier touchdown is probably going to stick out in my mind. I mean, he broke 3-4 tackles, took off for another 20-something yards for a touchdown. AK special. We've always known that. He has the juice, and he shows each and every time he touches the field. To go for 6, I don't even know how to put those in words. That's just something that you're always going to remember, especially being on Christmas Day. And he was wearing Christmas cleats. I mean, at that point, he should have wore some Grinch cleats because Minnesota's not going to like him too much longer. It is what it is. We won. We took care of what we can control, and we're on to this next week.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Hey Cam, when Marshon was talking about winning the division, he's like, we've done it all 4 years I've been here, but you've been on teams that haven't done it before. Like, how much do you kind of cherish this, just knowing that it's not always going to end like this,
Look, you have to enjoy each and every one of these wins. You have to enjoy each every day that you're able to wake up. God bless you with breath to wake up, and take advantage of each and every opportunity. I mean, guys like Trey, guys like Marshon, have never not won the division. So that's a huge blessing in itself. I've been here. I've won division. I've played in playoffs. What I haven't done is won a Super Bowl. So we're on the same mindset. We've won the division before. That's nothing new to us right now. What would be new is to be in the NFC Championship game as a champion and into a Super Bowl. When that would be what we have left to accomplish as a Saints team.
Next one's from Amy Just.
After the game, Sean hit the Sean Payton and the gritty. What's it like having a coach like that? Who's
first of all, Sean hit that gritty. You can't tell me he wasn't in the mirror at the crib testing it out, because he didn't just bring that out. He hit that. I mean, he hit that better than a lot of guys on our team. A lot of guys in general can do. I mean, I saw some gritty earlier on by Adam Thielen early in the season. I mean, he's got it down now. Just know Sean came out ready. He was game ready.
Next one's from Brett
Martin. Like having a. I'll go. Sorry. What's it like having a coach like that who is celebrating with you in the locker room and is, a player's coach?
I mean, he's already got his dance name after we got to hit the Sean Payton, and you know what it is. I don't know, something like that. Then he came out and he hit the gritty. I mean, the boy's turned up. Look, it gets us excited. We're on the same mindset. We're on the same energy level. We know it starts and begins with us as a team. We are in each other's corners. So, I mean, he rides for us just like, we take the field and we have to ride for the Saints. So it's hand in hand. The energy is just, it is what it is.
Last one's from Brett Martell.
Okay, hey Cam. You mentioned Alvin's shoes before, and he had mentioned that he, I guess, expects to get fined because they don't meet protocol or whatever. But I was just curious your thoughts on where he's wearing a holiday-themed shoes and then does a historically significant performance wearing them. What's your thought on that whole scenario?
When the Hall of Fame calls to get the cleats or the jersey, whatever it is, now he's just got to charge them so that you break even.
All right, I think we're all set. Thank
Perfect.
you, Cam.
Who that?
to be a fly on the wall in the home of Sean Payton when he is practicing the gritty. All right, you have heard from the players. You have heard everything from John DeShazier. We will leave you with these highlights. The New Orleans Saints defeat the Minnesota Vikings 52-33, secure their 4th consecutive NFC South title. Merry Christmas from all of us here at the New Orleans Saints. Happy holidays from myself, John DeShazier, and all of our fantastic production crew.